3 sinister and spine-chilling true stories of someone who was outside revealed and cursed. Jenny never thought she'd end up here, a single mom in the sleepy suburb of Greenway Heights, where the most terrifying thing was usually a stray cat knocking over a trash can. But the night had a different feeling, darker, more sinister. The clock struck midnight, and the sounds of the neighborhood faded into an eerie silence, leaving strange echoes in their wake. Meanwhile, in the quiet of her room, 12-year-old Emma lay tossing and turning, the ever-familiar creaks of the house turning into unsettling thuds outside. It felt as if something was slinking just beyond her window, lurking in the darkness. Shadows danced in and out of the dim light from the street lamp, and she felt the tightening grip of unease. Shoving the blanket over her head, she pressed herself into her pillow, trying to dismiss the feeling that someone or something was watching. The next evening, Jenny received a frantic call from Mrs. Henderson, the old woman next door, about a string of mysterious disappearances, neighbors vanishing without a trace, whispers of a dark presence haunting the area. "Mon," Jenny thought, fatigue washing over her like a wave. Her neighbors were just losing their minds. People always saw monsters in the dark when there weren't any. But inside her, fear began to gnaw at her resolve. Days passed, and as Jenny endured another long shift at the diner, Emma spent her evenings bravely watching the shadow at the edge of the light, teetering between dread and curiosity. One night, out of desperate hope to uncover the truth, Emma climbed into the dusty attic, where forgotten memories lay hidden. Among the cobwebs, she discovered an old diary, yellowed pages whispering tales of families that vanished in Greenway Heights, tales tied to the curse of the watchful neighbor. Each entry sent chills down her spine, recounting innocent lives lost and the darkness that festered among them. "You should have listened." The words seemed to echo through her mind, creeping closer, taunting her to look out the window again. The shadow had become bolder, its presence a heavy weight on her heart. The crescendo of terror peaked that third night when Jenny returned home, anxiety crawling beneath her skin. She felt eyes on her, the neighborhood turned into a ghost town, the quiet suffocating. As she reached for the door, she hesitated, her heart pounding in the stillness, and then she saw it. A figure stepping from the shadows, a neighbor she thought she knew, now morphing into something twisted and menacing. Their gaze locked. A primal instinct kicked in. Fear screamed at Jenny to run, but her daughter was back there, and she'd do anything to protect Emma. "Stay away!" Jenny shouted, her voice trembling as the shadowy figure stepped forward, a grin creeping onto their face. "You should have listened," they whispered, and in that chilling moment, the weight of reality crashed down around them. The threat felt real, palpable, the facade of safety shattered, revealing the truth of a heart-stopping nightmare. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The chilling atmosphere thickened as the watchful neighbor revealed their true self. Hearts raced, breaths hitched. Danger was prowling in familiar flesh. This was no random occurrence, this was a whispered truth taking form right in their own front yard. The darkness closed in around them like a vice, leaving Jenny and Emma standing at the precipice, terrified and uncertain, clutching the thin thread of hope that maybe, just maybe, they would escape this waking nightmare and live to see the dawn. But as the shadow loomed closer, the question lingered, tightening even more around their throats: would they find safety, or was their fate already sealed in the echo of the darkness? The figure moved with a lethargic grace, like dark smoke curling in the night. Jenny's heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the whisper of evening winds. She felt the ground beneath her feet shift, as if the earth itself recognized the horror unfolding before her. "Mom!" Emma's voice cracked, pulling Jenny's attention back to her daughter. The fading streetlight flickered, casting long, disfigured shadows that seemed to crawl toward them. Jenny tore her gaze from the monster in front of her, her instincts now screaming to protect her child. "Emma, get inside!" she shouted, feeling panic surging through her. But the girl stood frozen, her wide eyes staring into the dark that now felt alive, hungry. "You should have listened," the words hissed low and mockingly, reverberating through the air. The figure's smile stretched uncomfortably, and its eyes glinted with a malevolence that sent icy tendrils of fear snaking down Jenny's spine. In an instant, Jenny lunged forward, grabbing Emma's hand. "Run!" Her feet pounded against the concrete as they fled indoors, slamming the door shut behind them. The sound of locking bolts echoed like a prayer for safety. The house plunged into a tremulous silence, only their ragged breaths filled the air. Sweat dripped down Jenny's face, mixing with the cold dread that churned in her gut. She looked back at Emma, whose eyes brimmed with tears, reflecting a turmoil that mirrored her own. "What was that?" Emma's voice trembled. It forced the question into the oppressive silence, the answer lingering at the tips of their tongues yet suffocated by fear. "I don't know," Jenny whispered, moving to the window, heart racing with every cautious step. She pulled the curtain slightly aside, searching the darkness outside, desperate for reassurance. But the street was empty. Not even the distant sound of passing cars. Just the void of stillness that felt deceptively threatening. "I'm scared, Mom," Emma whimpered, inching closer, her small frame trembling. "Me too, sweetie. But we'll figure this out." Jenny tried to sound soothing, even as her mind raced. She thought of the diary Emma had found, the curse. It had described not just disappearances, but something far darker lurking beneath the surface of their seemingly idyllic suburb. As the night dragged on, every creak of the house felt like a warning. Jenny grasped the nearest object, an old baseball bat leaning against the wall. It felt heavy in her hands, a meager shield against an unseen monster. Hours passed, the clock ticking down the minutes of terror, until a sudden scratching broke the silence, a sound like nails on wood. They froze. It was coming from the back door, relentless and increasing in urgency. No longer an eerie whisper, it echoed the gulps of fear rising deep within them. "Is it?" Emma whispered, her voice a threadbare thread in the oppressive hush. Jenny nodded, feeling the bat slip in her sweaty grasp. "Stay behind me," she murmured, inching toward the sound, her heart slamming against her chest. The scratching continued, now punctuated by a chilling laugh that twisted into a horrifying cackle, a symphony of malice. It was there, right outside, as if it were waiting for them, and then it stopped, the silence returned, heavier, suffocating. "Mom?" Emma's voice was small, trembling. "Don't move," Jenny warned, her throat dry and scratchy. She listened intently, hoping for the sounds of retreat, but instead, a voice broke through the stillness. It was low, seductive, crawling under Jenny's skin. "I'm here waiting," a scream caught in Jenny's throat. They were not alone, the dark presence had come home. What were they going to face when they opened that door? Outside the pale glow of street lamps, shadows moved, not just of one but many. The window rattled as something significant shifted, the air thickening with dread. If they were going to survive this night, they would have to confront the curse buried deep within Greenway Heights. But could they unravel the truth before it consumed them whole? The figure just outside the door whispered again, "You should have." "Listen." Jenny gripped the bat tighter. The door cracked slightly, and they felt the cold wind like an icy breath pouring inside. Their hearts raced. Would they dare to open the door, facing the nightmare they could no longer ignore? The door trembled, refusing to yield to what lay beyond. Jenny felt the icy wind rush over her skin, cold and alive, as if it carried the whispers of the cursed night. She exchanged a frantic look with Emma, whose eyes mirrored her horror, wide and pleading. "Mom, what if it's back?" Emma's voice broke, barely a whisper above the howling wind. "We have to be brave," Jenny said, mustering all the strength she could find. "We'll figure this out together." But the truth gnawed at her, they were ensnared in the web of something malevolent. Suddenly, a loud thud reverberated against the back door, shaking the frame. The sound rattled Jenny deep in her gut. She pressed her ear against the cool wood, desperate for a clue about what lingered outside. Silence reigned for a moment, a pregnant pause thick with tension, and then came the tapping again, this time lighter, more playful. "Are you coming out to play?" The voice cooed, mocking and tinkling like a sickly sweet lullaby that sent shivers down her spine. "It's awfully lonely in here." Light flickered in the living room, a gleam of hope barely cutting through the darkness. Jenny had turned off all the lights minutes ago, fearing they would attract unwanted eyes. "What is happening?" she whispered, her sense of dread heightening. Emma edged closer, looking over her mother's shoulder. They both caught a glimpse of movement, a flicker of shadow slicing through the thin beam of light that struggled to reach them. It darted past the window, causing both of them to flinch back against the sill. "Mom, we need to call for help," Emma urged, her voice rising in panic. "No phones. No lights. We can't draw attention," Jenny breathed out harshly, the weight of their predicament suffocating her thoughts. She risked a glance outside, the weight of her fear threatening to pull her into the abyss beyond. The darkness outside seemed to pulse, alive with sinister intent. Nerves tingling, she looked back at Emma. "Stay here. I'll check the other doors," she decided, her voice firm but shaking. She had to take control. Moving through the shadows, aware of every creaking step, Jenny made her way to the hallway. The front door was bolted tight, but she could feel its presence pushing against her from the other side. Ancient, hungry, waiting. A second echoing thud resonated through the house, crashing her thoughts against reality. This was no longer just a playful game. Something was trying to break in. She hurried to the kitchen to peer through the frosted glass of the back door, and there it was. The figure re-emerged from the depths of shadow, a silhouette surrounded by a swarm of darkness. It stood unnaturally still. Was it watching? Jenny's breath hitched as she locked eyes with an impossible glimmer, the reflective pupils of something far more dangerous than she had realized. Threads of agony seemed to be woven in its very being, pulling at her mind. Emma must have sensed something. "What do you see, Mom?" she called softly, her voice a tremor in the stillness. With the weight of truth about to crush her, Jenny turned from the window. I don't know, Emma," she admitted, panic clawing at her throat. The house shook as the creature's laughter stretched deep within the silence. The floorboards creaked underfoot. It was moving. It was inside now, lurking, waiting for its moment. "Why didn't you listen?" it moaned from the shadows, the voice echoing off the walls and wrapping around them like a serpent. "Now, you will pay." Jenny felt the hairs on her neck rise, a primal instinct kicking in. But before she could even think, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the dark corners of their home. Shadows scampered away, but not before Jenny caught one last glimpse of something scuttling across the floor. "Mom!" Emma screamed, pointing behind her. A chill flickered through the air like the dying embers of a fire, filling the room with terror. Jenny turned sharply, bat raised, heart racing. What had they unleashed? Before she could react, the door burst open, and the night, thick with shadows, poured into the house like a tidal wave. "Let me in!" a voice shrieked, melding with the cackling laughter of the figure. Now free, taking a deep breath, Jenny knew that the real confrontation had just begun. They had awakened the curse now, and it demanded to be fed. Would they find the strength to face their darkest fears, or would the curse consume them whole as it had so many before? The shadows surged into the room, thick and suffocating. Jenny's mind screamed at her to run, to protect Emma at all costs, but her feet felt like lead. The door slammed shut behind the figure, and the cold rush of fear clawed up her spine, freezing her in place. "Mom!" Emma's voice sliced through the chaos, her small hands gripping Jenny's arm like a vice. Panic flooded Jenny's heart. The laughter echoed around them, reverberating off the walls. "Get back!" Jenny shouted, shoving Emma behind her, raising the bat in front of her like a shield. The figure loomed larger in the dim light, an insatiable darkness woven with long, spindly limbs that twisted unnaturally as it approached. It was taller than any man, its face obscured by shadow, but those reflective eyes, cold and empty, sparkled like shards of broken glass. "Why play hide and seek?" it crooned, tilting its head. "You're already trapped." Jenny's throat tightened. She had never felt so utterly powerless. The corners of the room darkened further, swallowing the light whole. "Mom!" Emma whimpered, trembling. "What are we going to do?" Rage mixed with fear surged through Jenny, igniting her resolve. "We're going to fight," she shouted, voice quaking but fierce. She pushed herself forward, stepping into the suffocating void. "You can't take us." The creature's laughter rang out, cruel and mocking, but it paused, surprised. "No," it hissed, "you don't understand. You've already lost." As Jenny lunged toward it, bat raised, everything shifted. The room flickered in and out of focus, twisting like a funhouse mirror. She felt it stealing her breath, the air thickening around her like a noose. The walls pulsed, heartbeat-like, humming with an energy that felt ancient and wrong. "No!" she cried out, swinging the bat with all her might. A gust of wind struck her, knocking her to the floor. The bat slipped from her grasp, clattering uselessly against the kitchen tiles. "Now this is fun!" the creature shrieked, stepping closer, its form twisting and contorting like molten shadow. Jenny scrambled back, horror flooding her senses. Emma was still there, wide-eyed and terrified. "Mom!" she gasped, pressing herself against the wall. The figure turned its gaze to Emma, and for a fleeting moment, the darkness wrapped around the girl, drifting through her hair. Jenny felt a stab in her heart. "No!" She lunged again, tearing through the haze, desperation fueling her. "Leave her alone!" she roared, reaching out, determined to protect her daughter. But the creature glided, weaving around Jenny's grasp like smoke. Its laughter filled her mind, and she could feel it digging deep, touching the shadows of her past she had fought so hard to bury. "I know you," it whispered, voice oily and low. "You've been hiding from me just like your father." The walls seemed to constrict, pulling her memories to the surface, neurons firing, ancient fears waking. "Stop!" she cried, clamping her hands to her head, trying to drown out its sickly comfort. "Listen to me." It leaned closer, invading her thoughts. "You think you can forget? This is where it started, this is where it ends." A sharp pain lanced through her stomach. Suddenly, the laughter turned into screams, her screams echoing, resonating in the hollow spaces of her mind. With a surge of will, Jenny broke free from the horrific grip of the creature's influence. "No! I want to let you take us." She felt Emma's small hand grasp her own, a tether anchoring her to reality. Together, they faced the thing of nightmares. And the shadows began to retract, like a tide receding from the shore. But what had they truly unleashed? "Leave us!" Jenny yelled with a force she didn't know she had. The darkness thickened, swirling grotesquely as the creature cackled, its rage boiling over. Just before it vanished into the void, it spat one last chilling phrase, "You haven't seen the last of me." The night remembers as the echoes faded, the house fell unnaturally silent. The glow from the lights flickered again, momentarily illuminating the room before plunging them into a stifling darkness once more. But at that moment, Jenny noticed something in the corner of her eye, a small, distinct glimmer of something shiny, lying in the remnants of the shadows. In disbelief, she stepped closer, heart racing. What she found would change everything. What had the night delivered into their hands? Jenny reached the glimmering object, her fingers trembling with anticipation and fear. She could hardly make it out in the faint light, but it beckoned her like a siren's call. As she knelt closer, she realized it was an old locket, tarnished and heavy in her palm. A chill ran down her spine as she opened it. Inside, two faded photographs, one of a woman with familiar brown eyes and a soft smile, the other a child, no older than Emma. The woman looked eerily similar to her, the resemblance unmistakable. "Mom, what is that?" Emma whispered, peering over her shoulder, the tremor in her voice revealing her unease. Jenny felt her heart race, memories rushing to the forefront of her mind, laughter shared on sunlit days and shadows that hid secrets always just out of reach. "I don't know, sweetheart," she breathed. "But it's from where I came from my childhood." Just then, the air around them crackled with energy, a palpable tension tightening in the room. The light flickered again, casting quick, elongated shadows. A sinister whisper seemed to swirl through the air, rising from the dark corners of the kitchen. "Return what was taken." Jenny shot up, clutching the locket tightly. "We need to go. Now." But the darkness shifted again, growing bold. The shadows that had receded began to surge forward, the laughter restored, echoing off the walls like a cruel taunt. "You think you can escape? You're entangled in the past. Get away from us!" Jenny screamed. The shadows writhed toward them, hungry. She turned to Emma, eyes wide with fear. "Follow me." They dashed toward the back door. But just before they reached it, the temperature dropped suddenly, a layer of frost cracking along the tiles. The door loomed ahead, promising safety, but it seemed heavier, almost like it fought against them. "Mom, help!" Emma shouted, her small voice piercing the darkness as something unseen grasped her shoulder, pulling her back. "No!" Jenny lunged, grabbing Emma just in time. The darkness hissed, retreating momentarily, but seething and swirling, it returned with vigor. "You should never have taken what was never yours." Jenny froze, breath caught in her throat. The locket seemed to pulse in her hand, as if alive. Desperation clawed at her mind. "What do you want?" she cried, trying to keep her voice steady, trembling when she caught a glimpse of reflective eyes, watching from the shadows. "Not what I want, but what you owe." The claim tangled around her thoughts, each word dripping with expectation. The fear inside Jenny morphed into something else: determination. "I won't give in," she shouted defiantly. She remembered the stories her mother told her as a child, echoes of ancient legends and debts long ignored. But was the risk worth unleashing something darker? She turned, dragging Emma toward the open door only to see it vanishing into nothingness, replaced by a wall of darkness that pressed closer. "Mom!" Emma cried, her innocent voice thick with tears. Jenny's mind raced. What if the locket could help her confront this darkness? What if opening the locket could bring with it the truth she needed? "Emma, hold on tight." Before she could second-guess herself, she grasped the locket tightly, making the decision in an instant. "I'm going to let it show us," the air whispered in reply, swirling more violently around them, yet Jenny felt a pull, a thread connecting her to the locket, a thread through time. The laughter morphed into a cacophony of voices, confused and angry. Then came a blinding flash, illuminating the room so brightly that the shadows recoiled. The locket's magic surged forward, revealing flashes of her past. Images of a dark figure lurking in her childhood home, secrets hidden in plain sight, and a woman, or was it her, rushing toward an unseen fate, all played out before her wide eyes. But just as quickly, the light began to fade. What else would the locket reveal, and would they recognize what awaited them on the other side? The brightness faded, leaving a lingering glow in the corners of the room. Jenny blinked hard, her heart pounding. The shadows seemed to argue at the edges of her vision, taunting her, waiting patiently. What just happened?" Emma's small voice trembled, her features drawn tight with fright. Jenny squeezed the locket, its cold metal now radiating warmth against her palm. "I don't know," she muttered, glancing around. The kitchen, once familiar, felt foreign, as if the air itself had thickened with a weight she couldn't name. The whispers intensified, a chorus of voices rising and falling like waves crashing against a shore. "You must understand, you must return," they echoed, merging into a single pulse of desperate longing. "What do you mean?" she shouted, frustration bubbling to the surface. What do you want from us? In that moment, the flickering bulbs overhead exploded into darkness, plunging them into a suffocating blackness. A chill settled around them like a blanket, stifling. Jenny felt Emma's hand slip from hers, panicked whimpers echoing through the void. She groped blindly, each second stretching like an eternity. Emma! Where are you? Mom! Emma's voice was small, insistent, but it seemed to come from all around her. Where had she gone? Jenny's breath quickened, a knot of dread coiling in her stomach. The feeling of something lurking within the shadows, watching and waiting, brought icy fear to her skin. The locket flared with an unearthly glow, illuminating the outlines of their surroundings, but it also revealed horrifying glimpses. Faded faces peering into the abyss, crying out in silent terror. No! No! Jenny gasped, recoiling as chilling memories twisted into her consciousness. A dark figure drenched in sorrow, standing in a doorway from her past. Mom, I can't see. Emma's plea pierced through the growing fear like a knife. Hold on to me. Jenny's voice broke, desperation taking her breath. She lunged, her hands frantically searching until she found Emma's small wrist. Pulling them together, she clutched the locket again, its glow pulsing with urgency. We have to do this, Emma, she said, though doubt clawed at her insides. We need to uncover the truth. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to ignite with movement, swirling violently around them, whispering in a frenzied frenzy. Return what was taken, you can't hide, it's yours to face. The locket pulsed, releasing a sudden rush of power that swept through them like a current. Images flashed in vibrant color, sending terror surging through Jenny. She gasped as she saw glimpses of her younger self, fear etched on her face. No, she was trying to escape, clutching that very locket, but there was something behind her, some malevolent force. Mom! Emma's voice strained against the din. The shadows began to morph, presenting a looming figure right before them, its breath rolling like a fog, tendrils of darkness curling forward with predatory hunger. Mom, please, I can't. I know. I know. Jenny cried, heart racing. She stepped forward, compelled by some unseen force, and raised the locket. What do you want? With a thunderous crack, the dark figure surged forth, and the air electrified around them. The walls of the kitchen began to ripple like a mirage, revealing unnerving landscapes, twisted and grotesque. Faces covered in anguish swept behind the shadows, all crying out, their cold hands reaching forth. The familiar voice of her mother rang clear, resonating through the chaos. It's a choice you must make, Jenny, a reckoning must come. What do you mean? Jenny shouted, panic gripping her. The weight of the locket grew heavier in her grasp, pulling her deeper into the chaos. As dread clawed at her throat, the ground beneath her shook, a rumble building from somewhere deep, promising an unseen confrontation. Mom! Emma's frightened whimper brought her heart to her throat. Just in front of them, a doorway appeared, glowing like embers in the fog, a gateway to the truth, or perhaps a hellish nightmare. Do we dare? Jenny whispered, as shadows curled eagerly, ready to seep into their hearts. Could this lead to salvation, or would they pay the price for the secrets hidden deep in the past? The moment hung heavy, the doorway beckoning them onward, but what awaited them on the other side could change everything. Would they step forward, or turn back into the ever-encroaching darkness? The doorway shimmered, its light flickering like a candle at the edge of a storm. Jenny's heart raced, an urgent thrum of fear and responsibility. Beside her, Emma's trembling frame echoed her anxiety, their fingers tightly entwined. The shadows twisted more aggressively, as if beckoning them to surrender to their despair. We can't just stand here, Jenny urged, forcing breath into her lungs. We need to see what's beyond. But, what if it's worse? Emma's voice quivered, the innocence in her tone crashing against the dark reality surrounding them. A low growl reverberated from the depths of the kitchen, shaking the ground beneath their feet. You want the truth, Jenny? You'll have to pay, the whisper hissed, vibrating through the air like poison. The locket's glow pulsated brighter, revealing glimpses of shifting shadows just beyond the doorway. Faces. Distorted faces, caught in eternal screams, surrounded them like a massacre forgotten by time. Jenny swallowed hard, sweat trickling down her spine. But the pull of the unknown, the desperate need for answers, was stronger than the fear. Together, she whispered, squeezing Emma's hand tighter. One step at a time. With a deep inhale, Jenny stepped forward, the locket leading the way. The moment they crossed the threshold, the world warped into a chilling landscape bathed in twilight. The color leached from their surroundings, leaving only shades of gray and deeper shadows that danced in grotesque patterns. They stood on a path strewn with broken toys, remnants of joy twisted into despair. Laughter, once sweet, now echoed hollowly around them. "What is this place?" Emma whimpered, her eyes wide with terror. "It feels wrong," Jenny admitted, her pulse racing. The air was thick, oppressive, wrapping around them like a vice. A low wail sliced through the quiet, pulling their attention toward an unseen presence lurking behind gnarled trees. "You're in my domain now," a voice croaked, gravelly and dripping with malice. "Who are you?" Jenny shouted, defiance barely masking her swimming dread. A figure emerged, partially obscured by mist, its silhouette twisted and elongated. Eyes like smoldering coals locked onto Jenny, hunger coursing through the gaps of flesh. "You seek the truth. Truth comes at a cost. What do you want?" Jenny's voice barely rose above a whisper. The figure laughed, a sickening sound that echoed painfully in her ears. "The price of knowledge, the innocence lost. A choice, sweet girl. Sacrifice and relief will dance in your future." A sickening chill washed over Jenny, seeping into her bones. The locket grew warm in her grip, almost pulsing as if in warning. "No. You can't have her," she shouted, stepping protectively in front of Emma. "Her? No, no. Not her," the voice crooned. "But your past, your regrets, everyone has them. They will come to collect." Frantic, Jenny's gaze darted around, desperate for an escape. But shadows swirled, closing in around them like predators sealing off their prey. Faces she recognized flickered in and out, people she had known, friends, family, lost and hollowed by time. Each one bore the weight of unspoken memories, a reminder of her darkest fears. "Mom!" Emma cried, searching the depths of the darkening fog for any semblance of her mother's voice. "Where are you?" "Don't look, Emma. Stay close." Panic clawed at Jenny's throat. The shadows beckoned, promising her mother, but she couldn't give in. In that moment, the locket burned hot, filling the air with an anguished scream. It vibrated violently, a lighthouse amidst the storm of despair. A memory surged, a small hand reaching for her during a cold autumn night, eyes wide with fear, full of life. "I will not abandon you," she cried defiantly, grounding herself in her daughter's presence. But as the shadows encroached, the figure's voice slithered through the fog. "Only one can survive the truth. Find her before darkness takes her too." Jenny felt a rift grow within her, a fracture between seeking the truth and the depths of horror. Could she unravel the truth without sacrificing everything she held dear? As the walls of reality twitched again, Jenny tried to make one last clear plea in the storm of chaos. "What must I do?" And the shadows howled, voices crashing together in a cacophony of anguish. "Embrace your darkness. The choice is coming." Everything trembled around them, the ground shifting once more beneath Jenny's feet. A choice lay ahead, and as she breathed in sharply, dread settled like a thick fog in her chest. What waited on the other side of this horror? Would she find Emma's voice amidst the chaos or lose herself completely? The shadows pressed in closer, a living tapestry of fear and anguish. Jenny's heart thundered in her chest, a savage drum announcing the urgency of their plight. She could feel the pulse of the locket burning against her skin, a cruel reminder of the weight of the choice laid before her. "Jenny, I'm scared," Emma whispered, her grip tightening. The innocence in her eyes had crumbled, replaced by raw vulnerability. What if we can't go back? Jenny swallowed hard, the words lodged in her throat. We will find a way. I promise, she said, though doubt clawed at the edges of her resolve. Panic surged as the figure loomed larger, its shadows swirling like smoke. You're not ready to face what's coming, it snarled, a voice splintered with malicious anticipation. But time is short. Choose, or lose. What do you mean? Jenny shouted, the confusion morphing into desperation. What choice? The ground beneath them flickered, and a bridge of ethereal light materialized, stretching into the depths of the twisted realm. It shimmered, promising hope yet radiating danger. Step onto the bridge and confront your demons, the figure hissed, its eyes glowing like molten rocks. Only then can you decide what to sacrifice. Will it be your hopes? Your memories? Jenny's breath caught, the enormity of the decision striking her like a physical blow. No! Emma cried, pulling back in terror. I don't want to. I don't want to see them. But we have to, Jenny insisted, steeling her nerves. If we go back, it will haunt us forever, won't it? As if in reply, the shadows erupted into a cacophony of screams, distorting the air with a chilling symphony of lost souls. Each wail curled around them, beckoning to Jenny's deepest regrets. The laughter of lost joys echoed in the distance, reverberating painfully against her skull. Emboldened, Jenny grabbed Emma's hand tightly. We'll face it together. Just like we always do. With a breath she hoped would mask her fear, she stepped onto the bridge, the light pulsating with every heartbeat. Instantly, images cascaded before her eyes, each memory laced with blame. Her childhood home, echoing with laughter, twisted into a shadowy outline filled with darkness. Her father's anger, her mother's tears. But there was one image that pushed through the gloom, a smile, bright and innocent. Wait! A voice cried out, cutting through the chaos. It was her own voice, echoing from the past, desperate and pained. Don't lose me. Horror coursed through her veins, the realization hitting her like ice water. No! She gasped as the memory of her teenage self shimmered, reaching out a plea from a time long buried. Jenny swayed unsteadily, the bridge shaking under the torment of her conflicting desires. What are you doing? Emma cried, fear reflecting in her wide eyes. I have to answer it. Jenny shouted, panic rising. We can't turn away. Each step toward her past felt layered with betrayal, as if her own memories were dragging her down with them. The figure loomed closer, a grotesque smile distorting its cracked lips. Ah, the sweet taste of realization. Embrace it or be lost forever. Lose me? Jenny whispered as her younger self faded in and out, beckoning her to reconcile with a haunting sadness. I can't. Tread carefully, the shadows warned, voices intertwining in a furious melody, for the choice you make here will ripple through time. The ground trembled violently, urging a confession from deep within Jenny's soul. What betrayal had she committed against herself? The final fragments of memories slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. As terror seized her heart, she felt the weight of every moment she had turned away. With her daughter's hand holding her anchor, Jenny summoned every ounce of strength. I choose the truth. And in that instant, the clouds of shadow dissipated, revealing specters of the past, ready to reveal their secrets. But as the veil lifted, revealing a horror far grander than she could imagine, she felt the ground quake again. Would accepting the truth free them from the nightmare or trap them forever within the darkness? The answer lay just beyond her grasp, screaming to be uncovered. Would she dare to take another step? The moment Jenny spoke, the world around them shifted. The shadows flickered, vibrating with an energy that felt alive. It was as if her declaration had struck a chord, reverberating through the very fabric of the realm. The dining hall of her childhood home loomed before them, reconstructed from the memories she had buried, dinner plates clattering, voices mingling in warmth, their shapes now twisted in shadow. But the faces were wrong, they were fractured, grotesque versions of the people she had loved. Jenny. Emma's voice trembled, almost cracking. The light from the bridge pulsed into hues of red and black, oscillating wildly as whispers danced through the air. The cries of the long-lost echoed louder, clawing at Jenny's resolve. "Don't let them take you." Emma tugged at her mother's hand, eyes wide with fear. "Please." But Jenny was spellbound, anchored by the weight of the past. Memories surged, pulling her deeper into the vortex of her own history. Images spun around her: a childhood birthday party gone wrong, a slow-motion fall as she tripped over the birthday cake, laughter turning to jeering howls. Each moment felt like a knife, slicing through layers of time. "Face them." The figure commanded, its voice now a cacophony in her mind, drowning out the cries of her daughter. "Face what you've lost." And then she saw it, the shadow of a figure standing in the corner, a faded outline of her younger self. Eyes wide and innocent, it beckoned her closer. "You forgot me," the past whispered, its voice haunting yet familiar. "You left me behind." "No." Jenny gasped, recoiling. Each word it spoke burned like acid. "I never meant to, but you did. You turned your back." The younger version of Jenny grew clearer, her image solidifying among the maze of darkness. "And now look where we are." The bridge shuddered, a tremor underfoot for each regret she felt. Jenny's heart raced. This can't be the truth." She shouted over the storm of feelings crashing inside her. "Then step back," the figure mocked, eyes now a fierce red, reflecting her fear. "Retreat into the dark, if you dare. How many will you abandon?" A scream ripped from Emma, her tiny frame straining against the weight of the shadows. They wrapped around her, tendrils clawing at her small body. "Mom! Don't!" In that moment, Jenny felt the reality of the situation tighten around her throat, threatening to choke her. Could she let go of everything she had become? Was she really ready to face the monsters she had buried deep, the parents she had lost to addiction, the friends who had betrayed her trust, the promises that had turned to smoke? "Your past is waiting," the figure hissed, flicking its long fingers toward the memory of her childhood self. "Will you slay your demons or let them consume you? Choose wisely, Jenny." A new voice echoed within her, a familiar and soft murmur. "For once the truth is unearthed, there's no turning back." Jenny's shaking hand reached out to her daughter, sealing their bond against the darkness threatening to tear them apart. Heart racing, she whispered, "We will stand together, Emma. I won't choose alone." The shadows recoiled, a moment of hesitation. And then they surged forward, a whirlwind of despair that threatened to swallow them whole. Lies or the truth, what will it be? As they braced against the onslaught, a rift opened at the other end of the bridge, revealing a swirling mass of light and darkness intertwined. It beckoned, a new path, yet the pull of their memories loomed ever large. What lay beyond the rift? Salvation or doom? As Jenny wrestled with the power of her choices, the truth of her past and present eclipsed their future. Would she find the courage to leap into the unknown and face what lingered in the dark? Jenny stood at the precipice of terror, her heart pounding like a war drum, drowning out the whispers of the darkness surrounding her. The shadows roared in defiance, swirling and thrashing as if they were alive, hungry for the fear they tasted in the air. She could feel Emma's small body trembling beside her, the warmth of her daughter's hand slightly reassuring, but the fear in Emma's wide eyes mirrored her own. "Mom, please, we can't stay here," Emma cried, pulling back against the oppressive darkness. "I'm scared." "I know, sweetie," Jenny replied, her voice trembling yet determined, "but we have to keep moving. We have to face this together." With that, she took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge of light, dragging Emma along with her. Each step felt like a battle against the unseen force, but the warmth pulsing from the locket in her hand soothed her fears just slightly. As they moved forward, the surrounding chaos began to shrink away, distorted memories trying to grasp at their heels, shrieks entwined with pleas echoing through the shadowy void. "Face your demons." The figure croaked from afar, its figure looming over them like a reaper waiting for its harvest. Its voice dripped with malice, sending chills down Jenny's spine. She tightened her grip on Emma's hand, her resolve hardening. Suddenly, the bridge brightened, casting a radiant glow that pushed back the dark, elongating their shadows. "We can do this, Em. Just keep your eyes on me." Jenny shouted over the howling winds, using every ounce of her willpower to press on. As they moved closer, the swirling mass transformed into flashes of memories, the bridge becoming a projection of their past colliding with their present. Images flickered violently: happy family gatherings, her childhood home distorted by despair, the echoes of laughter morphing into screams. "Mom, I see you when you were little," Emma exclaimed, almost too frightened to move forward. Jenny turned to see a flickering shadow of her younger self, trapped in a moment of endless sadness. "You have to face it, Jenny." The young girl's voice echoed, thin and ghostly. "You can't keep running forever." The pavement shook beneath them as the shadows pressed forward, threatening to devour them whole. "Stop. Leave us alone," Jenny yelled, the rage boiling inside her, a desperate fire ignited by the flickering images of her past. She didn't want to remember the darkness, it had haunted her long enough. "Face what you've lost." The figure screeched, pain lacing its voice as it drew closer, clawing its way through the memories that bound them. "I want to let you take us," Jenny cried, lunging forward, the warmth of the locket burning brighter in her palm. "We choose hope." In a split second, she raised the locket towards the figure. The shadows converged, swirling like a storm ready to crash, but the light from the locket surged forward, blindingly bright. "Return what was taken," echoed a voice that sounded almost familiar. The surge of light illuminated everything, flooding the bridge until the shadows began to shriek and retreat. Faces that had taunted them twisted into grotesque forms, finally giving way to their desperate cries. "No. Not this. You can't." As Jenny and Emma stood together, the power of their bond shielded them from the engulfing darkness. They pressed onward, deeper into the light. With a final flash, they were no longer on the bridge but on solid ground. The twisted shadows had dissipated, leaving them in the familiar glow of their living room, although everything felt slightly different, brighter, almost cleansed of the sordid memories. "Did we do it?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling but hopeful, clinging to her mother's side. Jenny looked around, the house no longer felt suffocating, it felt alive. "We faced the darkness, Em. We're free." But just as relief washed over them, a whispering breeze rustled through, brushing against them like a long-lost friend. "You've faced the remnants, but you will carry this truth with you. Until the end we'll remember and we'll heal," Jenny declared, her heart swelling. With certainty. The shadows lingered, not fully gone, but they were dim now, receding into the corners of the room. "Mom, it's gone?" Emma asked, wide-eyed with a cautious hope that felt tangible. "We've made our choice, Em." Together, Jenny assured, pulling her daughter close. "And we'll keep choosing each other." As the first rays of dawn broke through their window, the warmth flooded the room, wrapping them in a gentle embrace. The courage they summoned became a balm, healing the unseen wounds that had torn them apart. They were going to be okay, and with that, Jenny knew their story had not just been a fight against the dark but also a journey toward finding the light within. Their bond preserved through the shadows, they were free to write the next chapter together. As they stepped out into the soft morning light, Jenny turned to Emma. "We have so much ahead of us, my love. Life is waiting." Emma nodded, a grin breaking through her earlier fear. "But first," she pulled out her phone. "We need to tell everyone about our adventure to warn them." "Absolutely." Jenny laughed, the sound of hope echoing in the quiet morning stillness. But as they moved forward, she silently vowed to always remember and honor the sacrifices of the past while fiercely living for the moment, because every dawn held new possibilities. Take that first step into your own light. Now, before you go, you need to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your engagement means everything. Let's keep this community growing.